Welcome to a special episode of Book Service, the podcast from the Stoneham Public Library. If you were thinking that I don't sound like Matt, you're right. I'm Lily, the assistant director at the library, and I'm here to talk to you about our new logo, Annie the Goat. We have received a handful of questions about the origin of this logo. If you too have been wondering why we chose a goat with shoes on, keep listening. Our story begins with the town seal. The town seal of Stoneham makes a distinctive statement regarding the lives of its earliest residents and their labor in the shoemaking industry. At the town meeting of June 13, 1899, Stoneham voted to officially adopt the town seal as you see it today. The seal depicts a goat, hammer, shoe, and plants. The goat represents the source of the soft leather. The hammer, specifically a pegging hammer, was used by the shoemaker to attach wooden pegs and later metal nails to fashion the shoe. The shoe pictured is the type for a woman in that time. The plants and berries were used in the tanning process. The 1725 inscription commemorates the town as a separate entity from Charlestown. Charlestown End was no longer, and instead became the town of Stoneham. Shoe production was the town's primary industry for 150 years. Shoes were hand-sewn by men and women, both free and enslaved. In colonial days, the work of the shoemaker first took place in the home. By the beginning of the American Revolution, the construction of small shops began and became the workplace for many shoemakers. Often with a singular style, designated by their 10-foot square measurements, these buildings were called 10-footers. One now stands on the grounds of the Stoneham Historical Society. The Industrial Revolution of the 19th century was a dramatic turning point for the occupation. There were reportedly 36 shoe factories, 2 large tanneries, and 45 allied trades. 90% of the workers in Stoneham were engaged in making shoes in some capacity, and by then, this group included children. The Stoneham Town Seal honors the people whose labor and dedication were the heart of the shoemaking occupation and the prosperity it accorded the town. We named the goat Annie after Annie Brown. Who is that? I'm so glad you asked. Annie Hamilton Brown was an extraordinary woman for any time. She is fondly remembered for her love and devotion to animals, birds, and wildlife. From her home on the corner of Main and Chestnut Streets, she offered sanctuary, shelter, and food to all of these creatures. It was said of her, a walk through the woods with Miss Brown in almost any season of the year was a liberal education in plant and bird life. Annie could often be seen riding horseback through the Middlesex fells. In the early 1900s, she was also responsible for the building of a drinking fountain for horses in the center of Stoneham Square. She opened Stoneham's first animal shelter in 1911. The kindness and generosity of Brown extended far beyond Stoneham. She richly endowed hospitals, Audubon societies, wildlife organizations, churches, and many other charitable concerns throughout Massachusetts and New England. Annie Brown built her wealth by investing her inheritance in the stock market. She was known to be an astute investor and considered it a fascinating game. Although in life, Annie Hamilton Brown was well known to only a small circle of friends and confidants, she became a legendary Stoneham resident upon her death in 1929. At that time, almost her entire financial legacy of $2 million was generously divided among numerous organizations throughout Massachusetts. The Stoneham Public Library was a privileged recipient of Annie Brown's generosity. In 1931, the library received $100,000 that enabled the expansion of the original Carnegie Building. She was interested in a wide breadth of subjects: history, biography, international affairs, and nature study. Her love of reading inspired Annie Brown's bequest to the library that established a book fund that endures to this day. Okay, but why is this the library logo? Did you know that you used to need a paid membership to use a library? When public libraries became a thing, it was revolutionary. People could access information regardless of their net worth, regardless of their last name, regardless of their status in life. And the information they could access was on par with what wealthy landowners could access. As society changed, so too did libraries. Today, information is much more widely accessible. What society lacks are free third spaces. Public libraries now fill that role. We are the community space where people can gather, meet with friends, meet new friends, participate in activities, all without being pressured to spend money. Libraries have gone from silent temples, where only the sound of rustling pages can be heard, to bustling buildings with arts and crafts, book clubs, movie nights, history lectures, musical performances, and so much more. Children and adults alike spend their summers engaged in summer reading programs at libraries, which include opportunities to learn about themselves and others, to grow, and to think critically. Libraries don't just provide information anymore. We help people process information. We teach people to ask questions, to check the source, to be alert. We help people to be safe online. We are a place where people apply for jobs, write to their representatives, file paperwork for citizenship, find a bed in a shelter, find a safe place to hide from an abuser, find a hot meal, find housing, find old friends, find their own family history, find their new or old favorite author. The list goes on. We wanted our logo to be a more rounded representation of the Stoneham Public Library. The goat and shoes harkens to Stoneham's past, its history. Stoneham used to be a community of tanners and shoemakers. The industry may have changed, and the population may look different now, but the goat and shoe symbolize that when you live in Stoneham, this is your community and you are welcome here. Our logo represents not just where this town has come from, but where it is going. This library is a hub for the community. You are welcome here if you can trace your family back to Stoneham's founding. If you just moved from another town or state or country, you are welcome no matter what language you speak, no matter what you look like, and you are welcome no matter who you love. You belong here. There is something here for you. Stoneham is growing, and this library is where people are coming to learn about their new community, to meet neighbors and potential friends, and to get involved at a grassroots level in this, our Stoneham. And so we chose Annie the Goat to connect our past and our future, and to stand as our representative of all this to all people. I hope this answers any questions you had about Annie the Goat, our new logo. Tune in for our next episode of Book Service. Don't forget to visit the library, and have a great day.